typically not the type of person to get affected by media, such as movies, video games, or music, and I'd say it's been almost a year or two since I felt touched by an album, emotionally, but that was until the drop of Quadeca's new album, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. And let me just tell you this album is probably the best album released in 2022, and as the time of me writing the script, it's the last day of 2022. Yeah, I know, I'm late to the topic, but I don't think an artist will come out and release an album right now that will outdo all the other albums. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, that's the intro music fading in. That's weird. On September 11th, 2022, former YouTuber slash rapper Quadeca, also known as Ben, released his new self-produced album, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, with a tracklist of 11 songs. And this album is definitely one of his best projects, if not the best. I mean, don't get me wrong, his last album was great, but there was just some bits in the album that scream YouTube rapper, and some bits were just corny. But this album has a perfect storyline, and pretty much no skips, except for the last track, which we're gonna get into later. And if you haven't heard the album yet, it's less of an album with a bunch of songs on it, and more of a story about Quadeca's afterlife, after he had taken his own life. Yeah, I know this sounds dark, so yeah, get your vibes ready.
Come to think about it, it's all in my head. Fuel tank blink, it's been running in the red. Praying for a green light, looking straight ahead. Nothing else seems right, you know what I said.
Right off the bat, it sounds like Quadeca is picking off from his last album.
It's about time, I've been feeling down and on my downtime.
The piano melodies and the sound of the intro were very similar, however, the meaning is completely different. Come to think about it, it's all in my head. These were Quadeca's first thoughts after committing suicide. Fuel tank blink, it's been running in the red. Praying for a green light, looking straight ahead. This line indicates that Quadeca had run out of any sort of hope or motivation to keep going in life. A blinking fuel tank is a warning that it's about to run out of fuel. In this case, it was running out of the fuel to keep living. A green light could be also a reference to The Great Gatsby, could be also a sign of allowance. The concept of playing God is an analogy for choosing to kill or killing oneself. Quadeca having God stuck in his hands refers to something capable of taking his life, such as a gun. Later on, Quad is pointing out how people didn't believe in him when he was alive but came to support him after he was gone. In the next line, he talks about revisiting his old house, where he lived as a child with his family. This line most likely refers to how he tried to communicate with his family as he was watching them as a ghost but failed. Sorry for dying. I just want to hold you without you haunting. This line is directed to his mother, who's grieving over her son's passing. He talks about how he wants to be there for her without haunting his mother. The instruments get more aggressive and distorted, and I think this song was a great intro and a good build-up for the rest of the album. The track starts with Quadeca telling jokes about his ex-wife, airplane food, and other silly jokes. The phrase knock knock is usually a setup for an incoming punchline. In this case, Quadeca was the punchline. How could it be? It's a setup, the punchline was me. He feels like he was played, and that his death and his existence as a ghost is all a joke, almost as if he feels embarrassed, knowing that when he came to the afterlife, he was met with nothing but loneliness. Which is why Quad says, knock knock, who's there? He's wondering if there's anyone else. Crickets are usually used to symbolize a joke not landing well, and the comedian would receive crickets for a response. However, in the context of the song, this could also represent the quiet, uneventful loneliness. He feels that now he is gone. One thing I like about this track is how his lyrics fit into two different meanings. The first one is a joke not landing, and the other meaning is being alone in the afterlife. The next part in this track is arguably the most powerful part, and visually the best part in his album, movie, and music videos. The instruments start getting more intense and distorted as we are met with this. Don't Mind Me is a song about the state of limbo that he's stuck in. Don't mind me, I'm somewhere in between, closed eyes in a dream. Quadeca is neither alive nor in the afterlife. He's stuck in a limbo, in some state of purgatory, quite literally in between the two. Both closed eyes consciousness and dreaming are analogies for being between life and the unknown. Yet they are paradoxical. Closed eye consciousness is controlled by the individual's mind, and dreaming controls the individual's mind. Quadeca feels that he controlled his choice to die, but at the same time he feels powerless in his ghostly existence. The next verse is one that I've seen a lot of people look down upon, which I don't understand why. The rap part was fine. Of course it wouldn't be lit because of the subject of the song, but it does the job pretty well, and the chorus was pretty catchy. I don't know why this song is low on a lot of people's lists, but back to the song. The second verse references his family, looking through his belongings to find any type of closure. You point to the sky, if only you knew, I'm so much closer. I'm right by your side, just over your shoulder. The theme of this album is that he's a ghost, which means he's dead. His mom points to the sky, referring to him being in heaven, while he answers back with, I'm so much closer, just over your shoulder. Oh, and he wonders what they'll do with his Hulu subscription. I mean, if I was dead, I would wonder what they will do with my Hulu subscription as well. Picking Up Hands is a track that doubles down on the idea of being a ghost. Throughout this track, Quad shows a picture of revisiting his old memories, remembering details of his room and his hallway. It's the shadowy way and the footsteps I take made a mark through the dust on the floor. This line suggests that no one has been in his room for a long time, and maybe his mother is afraid to enter. Tall marks on a wall charts. It's the wrong bars getting longer. Is he talking about his cock? Tried to call, but the dog runs away from me now. This line was kinda hard to listen to. It's widely believed that dogs can see supernatural things, such as ghosts, hence why the dog runs from him now. This song expresses deep sadness and regret over his choice to take his life. He expresses unhappiness over his ghost being and misses his mother. I really like how the vocals are mixed in this song, and I think it's one of the most underrated songs in this album. Born Yesterday is one of the more straightforward songs in this album, which is why Quadeca chose to release it as a single, since it was a good introduction to the world of the album. This song feels like a big reference to the movie A Ghost Story, where the main character dies in a car accident, and as he watches his family and his wife move on from his death, similarly to how Quadeca watches his mother move on from his death, he gets upset, causing the lights to flicker, making the family move out, and just like the album's title, he didn't mean to haunt them. In Born Yesterday, Quadeca tells a similar story about watching his family grieving and moving on from his death. There's a full video about this if you want to watch it. I'll leave it in the description. Throughout this song, Quadeca makes references to the phrase, I wasn't born yesterday, implying that he's not naive and is aware that he knows his mother is hurting, despite her pretending to be okay. He comments on the reasons his mother told herself to cope with the fact that he's dead, such as saying he's in a better place, which Quadeca knows isn't true. He's stuck in a purgatory, hence why he says, I think you're goddamn lying. His mother is not the only person hurt by his death. He's a popular artist with a big fan base, and he's implying that he's been in many prayers and that he's been in all kinds of places with his music. People all over the world are playing it, feeling the emotions that come with it, and he feels connected in a way. So in a way, he's existing in all these different places, yet being dead. I've been trying to see how you moved on from me, cause it feels like without me. This line shows the pain and sadness that Quadeca has felt when watching his mother accept his death and move on from grieving. Quadeca tries to unsee this, as he now feels his mother doesn't need him anymore, which is why he picked the Beatles sample, She No Longer Needs You. Quadeca continues the ghost imagery by mentioning how he disappears when it's daytime, as it's too bright for a ghost to come out, and he could accidentally scare his loved ones in the nighttime, which relates to the main narrative of I didn't mean to haunt you. Later on, we're followed by an instrumental break in much more sad singing tone, where he expresses regret for his decision, which is why he said, I popped a vein and I made a wish that it'll never be, revealing that he regrets his suicide, as his final wish was probably to continue living. The music video shows footages of his old memories from his childhood that he was watching as he revisited his past. Overall, I see why this was the single that he decided to release from the album, as it was such a powerful song. This song is more of an interlude, as it was very short and consists of 2 lines. You don't grieve, so what about me? I haven't slept since I was laid to rest in peace. Quad expresses sadness about his mother, not grieving anymore about his death. He's constructing the common phrase, RIP, and even though Ben is dead, he has not been able to sleep or rest because he's been watching his mother grieving over his death. As much as I think this song is beautiful and adds to the experience of the album, I don't really think I would normally listen to it unless I'm listening to the full album, as there is not much to listen to on this track. From this point, the album gets really dark. This is one of the most important songs in terms of the lore and events on the album. In the opening lyrics, Quadeca expresses how he's been desperate for company and how he's been lonely enough to reflect on his mistakes in the afterlife. In this song, he expresses immense anger over the fact that his mother is moving on from his death. You've been busy, keep yourself busy, let the pain dry. This line is about his family moving out of their old house to move on from Quadeca's passing. He expresses guilt because later on in the song, we find out that he tried to kill his family using carbon monoxide, a deadly gas that can cause death if inhaled for too long, in order to reunite his family again. This song features Danny Brown, which was an unexpected one, but also a really amazing one. As throughout the album, Quadeca sings from the perspective of a ghost. Danny Brown raps in the perspective of, get this, the carbon monoxide, which is weird but also creative as fuck. There's not much meaning behind Danny Brown's verse, since it's pretty straightforward. He's killing Quadeca's family, and he goes into details about how he's going to do it. Danny Benny's part was definitely one of my favorite parts in the entire album. The song ends with Quadeca stating that he can't let his family settle down with his death. The song Nuts is a certified banger. The way he expresses rage, resentment, regret, while still managing to make you bang your head while listening to it. The opening verse starts with Quadeca saying, I walk around with nuts on my neck and my chest. Wait, he walks around with nuts on his neck and his chest? No, nuts. Yeah, nuts. Fucking hell. His body had nuts, which referred to a lump or tightness in the chest. From a side perspective, the mountains played a significant role as issues in his previous album. Nuts could be thought of as minor bumps in his life that leave him with additional issues to deal with. However, because they were so minor compared to the mountains, he's sick of them all, which led to him being fed up with them. The phrase open book in a closed casket means that he's completely honest with the listener. This is constructed with the fact that his body is currently laying in a coffin. Since he passed away, his name became a touchy subject. His loved ones tell stories about him, but it's not the easiest thing for them. Nuts are the nuts in your throat when saying his name. You stutter over it, not sure whether it's too soon to talk about him. I don't fade to black, I cut to static. Instead of fading, dying slowly due to age or disease, he cut to static, which is a metaphor for quickly ending his life. Turned into static, which is exactly what happens towards the end of the album. Later on, he expresses guilt and regret for trying to take away his mother's life, although it's not confirmed whether he actually killed her or not. But in the interview, Quadeca said that it's up to interpretation, and the reason I don't think he actually killed his mother is because in this song he says had to turn the oven off, and it's needless to say that this track was an absolute banger, and I really like the live performance of the song as well. And overall, I think the song perfectly represents the feeling of helpless frustration and anger that Quadeca is feeling. The song starts with soft piano melodies with low tone singing from Quadeca. Quadeca starts with singing about how he's lost track of time and how all the days started to blend in. Similarly to how on Born Yesterday he said, it's been 12 nights and a million years. He's stuck as a ghost in a limbo, waiting to transfer to the afterlife, or in which he calls in the song fantasy world. He has nothing left in the state that he's in right now and is now an empty being. In Quadeca's hopelessness, he dreams of a perfect safe place, also known as his fantasy world. It's your mom's bakery in Maine. Alright, that's a weird timing to put a your mom's joke, but I'll let it slide. He goes on to describe what fantasy world is. It's the going offline. It's next year I'll go vegan. It's the woe is me. Fantasy world is a place made from everything he wishes he could have done while he was still alive. These wishes include the common New Year resolutions and false promises of going vegan or partaking in digital detox. He's finally realized that the limbo is not where he wants to be, and he wishes to ascend to the afterlife. And then you hear a build up in the instruments, almost as if something is about to happen, and then we're followed by the most beautiful part in this album. To me, Fractions of Infinity is about God, which makes sense for why Sunday Service Choir would be on it. In this song we can see Quadeca finally accepting his death and coming in terms with it, with an intro that sounds like No Surprises by Radiohead. The first line refers to Quadeca's mental state. Thought his mental anguish was all in his head and that he could fix it, but before he knew, his decision of suicide was set in stone. He was already dead. The next line is also quite realizing how silly and nonsensical problems in life actually are in the context of an afterlife. He says that he wants to change by overcoming his fears, and then he says, show me how you will sentence me, which could be referring to God and how he will be punished for the attempt of killing his mother with CO, or it could be also how he will be punished for committing suicide, which is a sin in most religions. The line I see your life inside your hands could be another reference to God, and it could mean that he sees his life as a movie to the viewer, as he describes his age as a movie take. Each new year is a new take. Take 23, let's get the scene, and then it will be enough. At the end of the day, the phrase Fractions of Infinity means that there's more to this universe and the afterlife, and what he's been through in the limbo is only a fraction of infinity, showing how small and tiny our problems are and how it really doesn't matter. In the music video, we can see Quadeca finally transcending to the afterlife. By the way, this frame is such a meme material. In the outro, the Sunday Service Choir reinstates this simple but meaningful phrase, those words don't do you justice.
Those words don't do you justice. Those words don't do you justice.
This is the final track, Cassini's Division. It's a final message. He describes how it was like to die and wake up to the afterlife. Maybe that's the perfect void that's begging me to join it. He feels drawn towards the void of static, making his final acceptance of death. In the final line, he says that he'll be there, waiting for his family to join.
When you see it. Until next time.
Wow, that was a hell of an album. To me, this is the album of the year. Keep in mind that this is all self-produced, and you can definitely see the improvement in Quad's music. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Consider any form of engagement if you like the video. And for my old viewers, don't worry, I didn't quit commentary. I'm just experimenting a little bit with the content since there's other stuff that I want to talk about. And to be honest, commentary has been dry as fuck lately. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I have been Harvey. Until next time,
leave me alone.